Hello there.
How you doing today?
How are we? I'm okay. I'm getting through it.
Okay. Well, the holidays, obviously, this is an interesting time of year. Are you a holiday person where we just did Halloween, now we go towards Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's? Do you like this time of year?
Yes, I do. I like I hate the whole commercialization of it all, but I do love I love this time of year as far as weather goes. I love this time of year where some people are in better moods. some people are completely stressed out and that bothers me. But when you get those moments of like that warm and fuzzy, I do like that. And I do
Good,
like family
good.
time together. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we're
Well,
in a really transitional time because I always had uh we always I always cooked, we always like had our traditions, and it's just changed so much now. And I realize my little one, she's like me, she doesn't really love Thanksgiving dinner. So we're I'm still in the throes of trying to figure out new traditions for her and see what we can do.
well, are you gonna let her? How are you gonna go about it? Like, it's always interesting because I get older. I'm like kind of like your daughter, where I'll say, I'm not a huge turkey fan, but there are other things I like, to the point where we have even lasagna at, Thanksgiving. Like, there's just tons of food, but it doesn't have to be the traditional stuff.
Right. I think that I've just been really loosey goosey about it. We've been going to New York for Thanksgiving for a number of years now,
Oh, that's
and
great.
I'll cook and we'll do that. My trip to New York this year is just a little bit earlier than Thanksgiving. So we're going to do an early Thanksgiving, but my daughter will do Thanksgiving there. So she doesn't want to do turkey twice. So we'll probably just make like a really good meal
Good.
and call it a day. And I don't know, when we get back, maybe we'll volunteer or do something like that, cook and then go pass it out. I used to do that all the time when the kids were little. So, you know, let's see. I don't know. We'll play it by ear.
Good.
Do you
Good.
guys do the
Well,
same thing every year?
basically, we do the same kind of thing where it's, always a football game in the morning in the neighborhood. Just a bunch of people show up. Like to relive my glory days where, for some reason, I'm great on Thanksgiving. Then I hurt for about 3 weeks, and then we get together with family, and we have a big family. They're like 50 people show up, so
Oh, I see.
it's a lot, but it's always nice to catch up. And again, we'll see them again at Christmas time, and it's the end of the year kind of a deal. I'm one of those people that likes the start of I like this weather. I like the holidays. I like that people kind of take a break. And then as we hit into January, it feels like a fresh sheet of paper. You get to start brand new again. I kind of like
Yeah.
where we're at right now. Absolutely.
Good deal. I like it. I like it. Yeah. As my family gets smaller, it just got smaller and smaller and smaller. And now it's just like, I don't know. Friendsgiving sounds good.
It does.
People do those Friendsgivings. Yeah,
Yes.
volunteering sounds good. Um, I cooked for many, many years, so I don't mind not. I don't mind taking a break from that. So
Good. Good.
I just wanted to let everybody know. I wanted to remind everybody that it's Mammo time. I do mine every December. I'm having to go in a little bit early this year. Just remember to get it done, ladies. And besides your yearly, make sure you do self exams at home. It's very important. So, want to get that out of the way because
Good. It's
sometimes people
important.
need a little reminder, especially this time of year, that they forgot to make that appointment. So, don't forget to get that done. But we have a great guest today. We have a wonderful guest. I'm so excited. So much to talk about with her. She's lived such a great life. Most of you will know her from One Day at a Time, which was, I mean, one of the biggest shows of its time. I think most of us grew up on it, and then they did a reimagined one that actually, for reboots, did kind of well. I think it got something like 4 seasons. It was pretty cute. I watched it. So let's introduce Mackenzie Phillips.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Hi,
Good
Hi.
morning.
how are
So
you?
can I just piggyback on the holiday thing for a minute?
Yes,
Please.
please.
So I love the holidays. And when my son was a boy, he's going to be 37 in February. Of course, he's still my baby boy, but he's full grown, shaved head, tattoos, earrings, and the sweetest human being you could ever hope to meet. So we did the Christmas tree every year. We did, I cooked for years. And then, he's like, Shane, should we put up the tree? And he's like, God, Mom, the tree was always for you. I mean, I loved it, but the tree was always for you. And I'm like, well, you know what? Well, you know what, I can't, he's not down there anymore. So I do love the holidays. We spend every holiday with his beautiful father, who's this amazing rock and roll guitar player named Shane Fontaine. Google him, and his wife. And we spend Easter, birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmas together. So we're a very modern family. And Shane, the elder, and his wife Maria do the tree, and we all bring our presents over, and it's absolutely lovely.
That is
I
fantastic.
love that. The whole the blended family thing is so unique, and it's so special when it works, when it's not forced and it's natural and it works. It's really such a fantastic thing.
They've been together longer than Shane the elder and I were together. And so it's we're a family, and she doesn't resent me. I don't resent her. I'm allowed to say, my God, I love him so much. He's such a beautiful human being. And she'll say, you're right. He is, isn't he? It's not like, what? It's very cool. It's very cool. So I just had to piggyback on that because
That's
I was
awesome.
interested in what you guys were saying.
Yeah, because sometimes you just have to pivot in what you do for the holidays, right? Like traditions are great for so long, but then it comes like things change. And
things change. My mom passed away. The family, we all sort of grew up. My sister China lives in New York. My sister Bijou lives, up in the Central Valley. My brother Jeffrey lives in the Bay Area. My brother Tamerlane lives in Brooklyn. And so we're all over the place. And so, it has shrunk. And you know what? I'm totally fine with that. And we're vegetarians. So, we make a vegetarian shepherd's pie with roast potatoes and, Brussels sprouts, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's nice, and it's small, and it's manageable. And
because if everybody came over with all their families, it would be too much.
It's too much. It's too much. It's too much, I tell you.
Yeah, I agree. How's Bijou doing, by the way? She's doing okay?
Bijou's doing well.
Okay, good. I mean,
yeah, I can't really go into that, but Bijou is my baby sister, and I love her very much.
Yeah, my oldest daughter's dad was very good friends with Bijou.
Oh,
so yeah, that's how I met her, and yeah, she's wonderful. She's such a beautiful being. Yeah,
beautiful creature.
Well, the whole family, everybody's so talented in their own way in your family. It's kind of amazing. It's weird when there's a gene pool like that, when when like everybody comes out like just so talented. You're like, wait, what just happened here?
The weirdest part is that we have one father and 3 different mothers and 5 kids. So that's the interesting thing, is that it was sort of dispersed equally across everybody, but the genes aren't the exact same for each of us. It's wild.
It's wild, but didn't you so my girls are have different fathers, but they don't feel like it just feels like family. It doesn't feel like, and they're so much alike. It's crazy. So sometimes it's just being raised together that makes you the same. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Do. We don't, like, if someone says, oh, well, China's only your half sister. I'm like, no, China's my sister. Bijou's my sister. Tam's my brother. My brother and I have the same mother. Bijou and Tamerlane have the same mother, and the cheese stands alone. China is Michelle's daughter. And so, yeah, but we have there's no, oh, you're my half brother. Oh, you're my half sister. Just like you.
Yeah, I love that because
Me too.
Yeah, because it is what it is. Okay, I want to talk about the One Day at a Time reimagined because what do you feel about all the reboots? Because this one was done when in the beginning of all of that, and it did kind of well. I mean, it went for 4 seasons. Most of them you see, they come out, they're like a season and then they're gone, or they're a couple seasons, but people are like, feel about it. What was your thought about it?
Well, I think, look, Norman Lear, I call him Uncle Norman. I've known Norman since I was 15 years old. And he has been so supportive and loving with me and for me over these many, many years. And, Norman has won Emmys with his current producing partner, Brent Miller, for, live in front of a studio audience where they redo, exact word for word episode of All in the Family or The Jeffersons. It's brilliant. He's brilliant. And the reimagining of One Day at a Time with a Latino family and Rita Moreno playing the abuela and Justina Machado. And then we just had an amazing thing going. And, they approached me and said, hey, how'd you like to play a therapist on the show? And I was like, well, I actually am a counselor and I do work in treatment. It was like the perfect thing. And so I became a recurring and, it was great. It was so great. But then I'd be sitting in my dressing room waiting to rehearse and I'd be auditing, charts on my computer, medical charts on my computer. So it's the same thing with Orange is the New Black. I would be dressed in my prison uniform and doing my work as an executive level vice president in my dressing room, during the bomb cyclone in Queens, New York. So I thought the reboot, the reimagining was really well done. It was very funny. And, I think what happened is that of course, with so many things, the pandemic sort of derailed the trajectory because Pop TV took over once Netflix canceled. So Netflix canceled and there was a huge Save ODAT campaign and Pop TV picked it up. And then, we did, I think 4 episodes for Pop TV and then it shut down. I mean, it shut down. And I think that the show could have had more longevity had that not happened because it was so good.
It really was good. I think probably because Norman Lear was behind it.
Exactly.
Everything he does is fantastic and gold. So maybe that's like the difference too. It's not a whole new company coming in and trying to, breathe life into a
very old
project.
A very old show.
A very old show, yeah. But I mean, it's a classic show.
The thing is that when One Day at a Time first aired, it was absolutely groundbreaking. And, a divorced mom with 2 teenage daughters who is having sex with here and there with various boyfriends. The teenage daughter starts having sex. We push the envelope and, we would have CBS censors at our run-throughs and they would say, well, no, you can't say that. No, you can't say that. And Norman would go, do you want the episode? Do you want the episode? Because we'll let go of that, but this is going to get said. I mean, he is just, not only is he an advocate for social justice, and not only has he been an advocate for social justice for over 50 million years, he's an innovator. He's still an innovator, and he changed the landscape of television, and he was so prolific and just, he was incredible. He's still incredible. I went to the 100th birthday celebration that ended up, it aired on ABC, and Valerie Bertinelli and I, she picked me up at my house. We showed up together. We walked the carpet together. We got to visit with Norman. It was great. It's such an incredible honor and legacy to have been in American Graffiti, which was George Lucas's first feature film, full-length feature film that was a theatrical release, and then to work with Norman Lear back in the very beginning of things. It's been very cool. I just said "very" so many times in one sentence that I apologize.
I say "like" and so much it's like ridiculous.
I'm working on taking "like" out of my vernacular as much as possible, and also literally and basically. I'm working on that.
My big one is it drives me crazy. But when I start thinking about, didn't I just say so when I start thinking about it, then I can't talk.
Right.
Like I get all like all tongue-tied. So
what if I break my own rule and say
I have to think about everything that's coming out of my mouth as it's coming out. I'm not good at that. That's multitasking.
Is that going to happen right now?
No.
Kidding.
No, you're just going to hear a lot of ums.
Okay. Cool.
So Bonnie Franklin, she directed an episode of Charles in Charge, the show that she was one of my favorite directors to work with. Like she was so much fun when she was on the set, and we didn't have many female directors. I think she was probably one of two female directors we ever had. So it was so amazing to have her and her energy on set. I don't think the men liked it very much, but that's a whole other misogynistic story.
Bonnie was a bulldozer with a filthy mouth. She was great and irreverent and funny and energetic. And, when we would sit at table reads on Monday morning for One Day at a Time, she fought for what she felt was right and what she felt, Anne Romano, her character, would say, and how, and these sort of pushing the envelope storylines that we did. And so therefore, Valerie and I felt empowered, and she actually, I almost said literally, she empowered us to speak up and say, well, 70-year-old comedy writers, that's not what a teenager would say in 1976, which, at the time. And so we were allowed to make it our own in a way. But then, of course, we had to stick to the script. But in the process of getting the script to the point where it was ready to be filmed in front of a live audience, we had a lot of input. And let me tell you a quick thing. So you know how scripts, first they come in white, then they come in yellow, then there's pink pages get collated in, then you get to goldenrod. Goldenrod, you're always like, when you get to the color goldenrod, you're like, oh, this episode is in trouble. Every week we would get a new copy of the script, and in the upper left-hand corner, it said Lear polish. So what that meant was that Norman had personally polished that script.
Wow.
And I still have, believe it or not, through all the insanity in my life, I still have all of my One Day at a Time scripts. With like cross left, cross this line out, put in the new line. I even have the binder with my name on it. It's something you never let go of. And you know what? Oh my God, Shane is not allowed to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, dude, auction them off, make some money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. I still have my binders. I don't have my scripts though, but I have my binders. But I love that you have it with all your notes and everything. Like, that's really special. That's really neat.
I remember we used Dixon Ticonderoga #2 pencils. And I actually have some of those pencils still.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an oddball.
That's what I'm curious to know. Did you know, even though you were so young, did you know that you were onto something? Like, this show was one of those shows we're going to talk about in 50 years. Like, this is, I know it's hard to see that far ahead when you're a teenager, but it's pretty amazing.
Well, that's interesting, because when I got cast for American Graffiti, I had only ever played Santa Claus in the school play.
Wow.
What I wanted to be was like a rock star, like my dad. I wanted to be the girl on stage in leather with an electric guitar and a microphone, which I actually got to do much later on my Disney Channel show, So Weird. I played a mom who was a rock star. But when we did American Graffiti, I was sort of a fairly anonymous 12-year-old girl whose father happened to be really famous. And I was just a very odd child, very quirky. And can you tell? And so when I arrived in the Bay Area to begin filming American Graffiti, I remember that I thought, are we doing like an after school special? Or is this an educational movie? Because I didn't really know what was going on. I really didn't know what was going on. And I was the only child on the set, and we filmed from sundown to sunup. Because the whole movie took place at night. So that's where I learned to drink coffee. And I had no idea. I thought we were doing like, an after school special or maybe a movie of the week. I don't know, but that's what it was at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that at all.
Not one bit. Not one bit. Not one bit. It was crazy. I mean, it was the word we use today. It was a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you always know? You said you played Santa Claus in a play. So at what point did you say you were going to start auditioning, or did things come to you because of your family? Like, how did all that come about?
Okay. So I went to Waldorf school. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Waldorf school. It's sort of like a Renaissance education. And in the 5th grade, I was, learning ancient Greek and reading Plato and Tolstoy when I was a very young girl. It's a beautiful style of education. It's sort of like you become a Renaissance person because you can make stained glass, you can dip candles, but you also have a tremendous vocabulary. You understand mythology and art theory and all the different things that are taught at a Waldorf school. And my son, Shane, actually went to and graduated from Waldorf school. And so this was, the early 70s. And yes, there were a lot of, like one of the kids in the band that we put together, his father was the president of Elektra Records. The other kid, his dad was a very high-powered entertainment attorney. Lisa and Wendy from Prince's band went to school there. Lisa was my best friend. We were in the same class. But we put together a band, and we called it Class. My first name is Laura. I've been Mackenzie since just before American Graffiti came out. Everybody calls me Mac, but the band was called Class: Chris, Laura, Adam, and Scott. And really, really good. And we were able to go to the Troubadour on an open mic night, a hoot night, they called it. And of course, I think it was in part due to, having powerful parents. And there happened to be a man there named Fred Roos, who cast, the Godfather movies and all that kind of stuff. And I was the lead singer, and, we were singing songs about eating gold soup and drinking beer, and not that, being in prison, all that kind of stuff. And Fred Roos came up to me and said, "How would you like to audition for a movie?" And my mother was standing behind me, and she said, "Excuse me, sir, she is 12 years old. Back off." And I was like, God, I would love to audition for a movie. That would be so cool. Valley girl for lived in Tarzan. Yeah, got it, pretty obvious. And I auditioned against, 250 girls and got the gig. And
Wow.
so, like I said, what I really wanted to do was to be the girl with the guitar fronting a band. And I turned out, I rode the train in the direction it was going. The movie came out, the this, the that, the everything. And, so I consider myself not an actor who can sing, not a singer who can act. So I got to do both.
I love that.
Not necessarily at the same time, but sometimes.
Because wait, was Lou Adler a producer on American Graffiti? He was, right? And then he produced. No. Oh, he wasn't.
No, Lou Adler was the fifth member of the Mamas and the Papas. He owned Dunhill Records, and he was very close with my dad. I mean, he's Uncle Lou, and he's Uncle Lou. And no, he wasn't involved in American Graffiti, but
I thought for some reason I thought he was a producer on it. My bad. Okay,
that was God, what was his name? The guy who produced The Godfather. Why can't I think of his name? The Italian guy. No, crap. What? I can't remember his name, but the huge producer.
We're all drawing a blank. We're all drawing a blank. I'm gonna find it.
Francis Ford Coppola. Gosh, darn it.
Jeez.
What the hell? Is it Coppola or Coppola? Coppola.
Oh,
Coppola
yeah.
Duh.
Like, here's my 64-year-old brain going, what was the guy's name again?
Here's my morning brain. I'm like, I think I need another cup of coffee. Oh my God, we're a trio.
Yeah, exactly. A fun trio, actually.
What was it like, though, in a family that was so talented? Did it feel like it was competition at all? I mean, I kind of relate it to if I had a twin brother, I would feel like I was in competition with him because what if he pushed the envelope and I was like, I can't keep up? I mean, in your family, there was just so much talent.
Well, I was born in 1959. Bijou was born in 1980.
Oh, yeah.
So China is 9 years younger than me. We had different parents. So I grew up in my mother's house with my brother Jeffrey and spent weekends with my dad. And then when I was almost 13, I ran away and lived with my dad. Whoa, things went nuts then. So I don't know that it was really competition because the age differential was, I was the first.
Yes, you set the standard.
What everyone else, almost everyone else ended up doing. Our brothers are talented in many ways, including musically. But that just wasn't their path. But I don't remember. I remember being absolutely thrilled to the core when China started becoming a successful actress, and when Wilson Phillips burst onto the scene. I was like, way to go, little sister. And when Bijou started, she had her album called I'd Rather Eat Glass, which is like so good. Think Fiona Apple meets a Phillips. It's a very good record. And then, Bully and all the different films that Bijou did. I never felt competitive, and certainly I can't speak for them.
Yeah, I think with that age difference, you're just rooting because they feel. I think that's a blessing.
Like I'm the OG.
Yeah.
I'm the OG, and I kind of like that. I don't mind being the OG. I don't even mind being almost 64. I certainly never expected to live this long. So every day's a gift.
I love that. Tell us about your healing center, because Mackenzie owns and works with
part owner, and works with Breathe Life Healing Center, which is so amazing. I went and checked out the website and everything, and you guys cover so much. Well, after I was arrested for felony possession in 2008, after many years of recovery and then a rather spectacular relapse, I was on my way to a One Day at a Time reunion on the Rachel Ray show, because apparently Rachel Ray was a huge fan of One Day at a Time. It was for her 40th birthday. It was a surprise. They'd recreated the One Day at a Time set on her set. We were all flying to New York to celebrate with her. Well, I got arrested at the airport for felony possession and, was facing 6 years in prison. And I was whisked off after spending 2 days in jail. Thank you very much. Never want to do that again. although I wasn't, I wasn't in Gen Pop. I know all the terms because I'm so badass. I was in, segregation. But so I went to treatment yet again. I came home 4.5 months later, and I looked at my life, and I went, well, gosh, I'm not going to be alive as long as I already have. I was, almost 50, and unless I'm, the anomaly, like Norman Lear. What do I want to do? Do I want to continue to compete? Like, who's had the neck lift? Who's got the boobs? Where, sitting in, casting directors' offices, the possible rejection, the elation at being accepted? Or do I want to do something that really speaks to me, which is help people who are still suffering? And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I can do both. Maybe I can do mostly be involved in the treatment world and some acting. And so I went back to school to become a counselor. And I thought, gosh, I wonder if anyone's going to hire me. And I got hired at a different place. And I worked there for 3 years, all the while, writing books, doing voiceovers, the occasional acting gig. It was, it's doing little indies and stuff like that. And then I started working at Breathe Life Healing Center almost 8 years ago. And Breathe is a subacute trauma center. And of course, as we're all beginning to understand, most substance use disorder is the root of it is complex trauma. Like and it can also be big T trauma, like you were in the World Trade Center, your house burned down and your mother was in there. Those are the big T traumas, but small T traumas are more like events over the years, over many, many years that culminate in some sort of need for intervention. Agree with me?
Yes.
And so at Breathe, we have a therapeutic program which is multidisciplinary. A lot of places say, oh, no, we can craft a program that is specific to the needs of your mother, son, daughter, husband, whomever, and yet they stamp out cookie cutter recoveries. And that's just so deeply distressing and frankly almost unethical. And so we are able to craft a program that can address concurrently an eating disorder, a substance use disorder, and a primary mental health disorder. And it's a beautiful, I landed home when I left the other treatment center. This is my office, this is my home. And then I have when I drive to work in the morning, I live in Sherman Oaks. So when I drive to work in the morning, which isn't so great most of the time because there's a lot of traffic, I say to myself, okay, at the end of this drive, there's a pot of gold, not meaning financial gain.
Yes.
Meaning a pot of gold. And then when I'm on my way home and the traffic is even worse, I'm like, oh, at the end of this drive, there's another pot of gold. And, not every day is perfect, but I love working at Breathe. I love the work we do. And your listeners, if they're curious, should go to breathelifehealingcenter.com because we do some beautiful work here.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you can be simultaneously treated for different issues, basically. Because I don't think I've heard that before. We talked to a lot of people in recovery and people doing work and all that. But yeah, to address multiple issues at the same time is.
Well, look at it this way. Let's say a person has an eating disorder, whether it be bulimia, anorexia, there's some binge eating, whatever it is, with a substance use disorder that goes hand in hand. If you don't treat them at the same time, like say someone goes to an eating disorder treatment center. Now, there are higher levels of care of eating disorder treatment centers, which are for seriously acute people with ED. But if you only treat the eating disorder and not the substance use disorder or the mental health disorder, then one, if you don't treat the substance use disorder is going to come up, which will trigger the eating disorder. Or if you have someone with a substance use disorder who goes untreated for an eating disorder, it's, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so treating them concurrently, I think that's the mistake a lot of healthcare providers make, is saying, well, let's deal with your eating disorder first, and then you can go deal with your substance use disorder. That rarely is particularly successful, although there are the anomalies.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes, when you put it like that, it makes sense, because they're all they're all tied together for sure.
It's like wires that are all tangled up that you have to take the time. If you don't want to completely destroy those wires, they have to be untangled in an appropriate fashion and in the appropriate stages, because maybe this wire needs to stay tangled for now, because otherwise you rip open a gaping wound that you don't have enough time to heal it before the treatment episode completes, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mackenzie, I'm just curious, just because when we started the show before you joined us, we talked about New Year's even, and saying how I'm always I'm an early riser. I was like believing that, today is a new day. You always saying that fresh, clean sheet of paper that you could put anything on. You've lived an amazing life, a very public life as well. And just listening to you talk now, it seems like you're living your best life right now. Is there a time when you look back at your life and everything that you've done and said, those were the best years of my life? Is it now? Was it a certain time that you can pinpoint to go, it didn't get better than that?
Well, the 70s were awesome. I mean, they were great. I mean, I have that sort of nostalgia for the 70s because life was so much simpler. I mean, I was, a baby addict and on my way to complete disaster. And yet, the 70s, like, I'm looking out my window. I'm at Melrose and Crescent Heights in this beautiful, therapeutic clinic that we have, where we have a 22-acre campus in Laurel Canyon. And by the way, most of our clients are insurance dependent. Don't think this is a cash pay center where only celebrities come. That's just not it. But I look out this window here, or I drive over the canyon, and I feel like I could almost drive the canyon with my eyes closed, because I lived there in the 70s. I miss the 70s. I loved the 70s, but you can't go back. Yeah. Right. So that's a time that I long for. I long for the innocence. I long for, the clothes, the music, all that kind of stuff. But right now is pretty cool too. Like I said, I never expected to live this long. I have, a job where I'm expected to arrive. I feel respected, valued, and I've come a long way. I am doing things in this line of work that I never thought I was capable of. I thought I was like a trained monkey, and the only thing I could do was like, "Hey there, Barb, how's it going?" Or be able to learn dialogue and then make people feel when I speak it. But so I do things that I was like, oh no, Matt can never do that. No, that's never going to happen. And I'm tremendously capable, and I had no idea. You don't know until you know.
I love that. And it's never, excuse me, it's never too late. Because what you said, you were almost 50 when you decided that this is the career path you were going to go after. I mean, that's because I'm 51 and I'm sitting here a lot of times going, I don't know what the hell. I don't know what I want to do. And I always think it's too late to do stuff. And then you hear stories like this and you're like, you know what? It's actually not too late. You just have to go for it.
I know so many people in the child star world who, who hang on to that thought, not your thought, but that, you can always change gears and find a passion, and yet still be involved in, that profession. But to say, this is all I can do, this is all I'm going to do, and I will, I will take lines of equity out of my house just to stay alive so I can do that. Well, that's just silly.
Right.
Don't get married to this. Like, put your pride in your back pocket and find, not you, but anybody, and find something that gets your pilot light lit, that gets you going in the morning, and you can still act.
It's interesting. I love that you're saying that, because we've had that. I've been producing a documentary, and we talk a lot about how I think the outside people put the pressure on, like the public. They'll say, like, if you change professions, or you even get into another profession, they want to say, like, because you couldn't get work, or you're a has-been and nobody would hire you. And there is this stigma and this pressure and this, like, falsehood, because it's the only line of work where people will say that. If you're a lawyer and you go, okay, I decided I hate being a lawyer and now I'm a gardener, people will go, oh wow, good for you. But if you're an actor or in the entertainment industry and you decide to explore another passion, you're just like, you failed, you're a failure. And
well, then
so
how come I booked Orange Is the New Black, at almost 60 years old, I'm not trying to be argumentative at all. I'm just saying that, can I swear?
Yeah, of course.
I don't give a fuck what they think.
Yeah, we encourage
I don't give a fuck what they think. Really. I mean, I remember that my mom used to belong to this thing called the Motion Picture Mothers. And it's like Bruce Willis's mother, all these Tom Magnum
Selleck.
Tom Selleck, yeah.
Oh God, I'm getting old. And
I got one.
And we used to go to these luncheons at the Beverly Hills Hotel or the Hilton, and it would be all of these, older women whose children, were famous in some way, some right. And they would have me get up on stage, and my mom was a member, and da 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 da. And I remember one day, I used to run around following my mom around these events. And this time I was pushing her wheelchair. And a woman came up to me while I was getting my mom a Coke, because my mom was sober too, many years before she died. And this woman in this fancy hat came up to me and she said, "Oh, hello, Mackenzie. So what's your next project?" And I said, "Oh, wow. So something really cool has happened. I've been working in the behavioral health field and I absolutely love it. And, I know the address of hell, so I also know the way out. And so I get to help so many people now." And she went, "Oh, lovely," and turned around and walked away. Wow. And I thought to myself, you know what? I am following passion rather than expectation, because there's this expectation, right? And I had to take it out and look at it and go, well, there's this expectation of me. Do I care about the ramifications of following my passion? Or do I have to sit here in this world of expectation and, possibly, not in my case, but eat ramen, Right. And so, fuck them.
And still never please everybody, right?
That's right. Look, I can't please everybody. I'm not a taco. Yeah. I'm not.
That's true. Only tacos can do that. No, I know. And honestly, being in this industry, you have to have a thick skin anyways and not care what people think. But it just is interesting how the public just does that naturally. And it's just bizarre. I find it's
it's the same way that they say, "Oh, look at that picture of so-and-so. She's looking old." And I want to say, "Oh, how are you looking? Do you still look the same as you did when you were 15? Yeah. You mofo." Yeah. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
We're held
to
this weird sort of non-human standard, and we buy into the trolls.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We do it. Yeah. And it's just, we talk about, because a lot of the girls, the females it happens to the men too, but not as much. A lot of the females on Baywatch, we get a lot of, they'll get a picture of us out, like say walking the dogs, or they got me recently cleaning out my deceased mom's garage, and I'm crying and I'm dirty and I'm disgusting. And And then they put it next to a picture of them like 19 in a bathing suit. They're like, look at it. It's just like,
Look
what
at
are
her
you talking
now.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I will say a lot of the public these days, the tide is turning, and a lot of people will say, what are you doing? Leave these people alone. Leave these women alone.
Right.
And it's really nice to see that. So I do have faith in the new generations and the new way of thinking, and that is taking a turn, but there still is a little bit of, of that weird stigma.
I know it is there.
You know what I wanted to talk to you about? I really quickly here, because it was one of my favorite shows, Orange is the New Black. So I want to know, were you like, when you got that call, did you audition for it? Did you get an offer for it?
Okay.
Were you nervous? I mean, because you're, an icon in your own right, but like you're walking onto this set that's like, I don't know, so overwhelming with all those amazing talents. Like, tell me the goods.
Okay. So I was at a behavioral health conference in Baltimore and speaking, and I was also with the team from Breathe, and I got a call from my agent, Geneva, and she said, "Are you interested in putting yourself on tape for Orange is the New Black?" And I was like, "What? Oh, excuse me, can you say that again?" And she said, yeah, they called and they want you to put yourself on tape for this counterpart, one of the season 6 villains. And I was like, well, yeah, of course I want to do that. And so we went to Baltimore. We were on our way to Baltimore. And then at the end of that day, we sat in my hotel room, and the CEO of Breathe, whose name is Deb, was reading the other part. And the chief clinical officer of Breathe, whose name is Kathleen, we're all very close. We're all women around of the same age-ish. And Kathleen was directing. And we were like, in my hotel room, in Linthicum, Maryland. And that thing We Transfer, where you send your self-tapes. I sent it to my agent. The next day and a half later, I'm waiting in security at BWI, the airport in Baltimore, and I get a call from Geneva. You booked the role. And I'm standing in the security line. And I'm like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Holy shit. And at the same time, I was doing the One Day at a Time reimagining. And so it was crazy. And I was excited, but I was also like, oh my God, I have to spend 4 months in New York in the winter. Although I lived in Manhattan for years, I lived in the Poconos, I lived in New Jersey, but I went, and and it was so exciting because most of my scenes were with Natasha Lyonne and Vicky Martinez, and it was just incredible. It was like, I haven't watched it. My stuff on it, I don't watch.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't. Not because I don't want to be a revisionist, wishing I'd done something different. That didn't feel quite as genuine as I thought it would be, and also, it's done. And
but it was so good. It was so good.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Yeah,
Penny
Russell,
Russell, who played my sister, she was just amazing too. It was really fun. And I have this great impression, of Natasha Lyonne, because she's like, do you have one of these? Because, it's kind of like, yeah. Anyway.
Have you seen her Old Navy commercials? Those,
oh my God.
She's so funny.
Oh my God. She's just fashion. Yeah. And the amazing thing was, my sister, but my bijou has known Natasha for years and years. And the amazing thing with Orange is the New Black, and then I'll stop, is that no matter who you were, there was no makeup. Everyone wore the same prison uniform. Sometimes they'd put makeup on you to make you look worse, which is what they did with me. Not that I'm didn't have to do a lot, but dark circles, the whole kind of thing. It's not like, why does she get to wear that when I have to wear this. No, we're all wearing the same thing, including Natasha and all these other Laverne Cox, all these other tremendously talented women, and that was really cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, so I didn't really think about that. It takes a level of stress off, right? It's like why schools do uniforms. Really, it's that it takes a whole layer out.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I mean, maybe some of the women had their prison uniforms tailored to make them look better. I don't know. I just wanted the baggiest thing they had. Just get the baggiest, most just like, whoa thing. Give me the largest size that won't fall off.
Yeah, that's so cool. That was so good for you too. It was like it was really neat to see you on there.
It was super fun.
Yeah, love that. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. You were so amazing, and
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I got chills so many times. Again, Breathe Life Healing Center. If anybody's interested in West Hollywood, and what a beautiful location. So,
it's a good thing. And can I say one more thing before we go?
Of course.
Yes.
I'm trying so hard not to fangirl, Nicole.
Oh, listen, I'm fangirling, and I have no shame about it.
Okay, so
I need to know everything about Orange Is the New Black.
We'll just admit that we fangirled.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
That is cool.
Yes,
that is
no
really
shame
cool.
in that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Pleasure
So
meeting you. Thank you. That was awesome. That was really cool. Great energy, right?
Yeah.
That was so much better than I even expected. That was really cool.
It's so neat when you have woman. When you have an idea of somebody and you think you make them cool, in your head they're cool, and then you meet them and they're like just as cool, if not cooler. Yes. Magical.
You know what? I tell you, you're around it a lot more than me, especially in this industry. And the old saying, never meet your heroes kind of a deal. And she was outstanding. She absolutely was. That was a pleasure having her on. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, she's super cool.
That was cool.
What a
life is right. What a story. I'm telling you, it is as much as what I think a lot of people think they know about her and her family. If you read up a little bit, you're going to go, oh my gosh, what a ride. I mean, what a ride as far as that life has been. And it's great to see maybe she's doing her best work right now,
Yeah, and so inspirational. I mean, how many lives have you saved today? I haven't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like unbelievable. Yeah.
No, absolutely right. All right, so what we'll do is we're going to jump right into the mailbag, and then we'll get out of here because this episode's gone a little bit longer. So we want people to always hang around. So we'll go to Nicole's mailbag. Again, all you have to do is go to the website, perfectlytwistedpod.com, and you'll see the mailbag right there and submit your questions. Christy L wrote in a few questions for you. I like them all, so here we go. Christy, first question is, looking back at your life, Nicole, are you happy your mother put you in the entertainment business?
That's a question that you have to ask me on the day. Like some days it's yes, some days it's no. But I am a big believer of no regrets. And I do believe you are where you're supposed to be all the time. And not that is always fun or fair. But I do believe you have to believe that. Otherwise, what are we doing? But so I feel like I've lived a privileged life. And I've been able to provide for my girls and be basically a stay-at-home mom. So, and I love the art of it. I love being on set. I love the whole process. And so I can't, I have to be happy about it.
Good.
There's a lot of what ifs, listen, there's what ifs and like, what would I have done and what can I do? And I should have gone to school, and there's all of that, but it precedes all of that. And yes, so I'm happy.
I admire what you said, because it seems like when people say it, it's hard to say, okay, does that work for me? Because you do hear that a lot. You are where you're supposed to be. And if you can, come forward and say, you know what, that's the best way to look at things, because you really can't control it. This is where I'm at. What are your choices?
Yeah, we have no control. Yeah, we have no control. This is
I had an aunt who lived almost 100, and she always said, be yourself because everybody else is already taken. and don't try and be what you aren't. So, all right, next question. Nicole, what's the weirdest thing someone has ever asked you to do?
Well,
there's a reaction there. Like, this happens a lot.
I'm gonna keep it G-rated.
Okay.
Because I've had some strange requests, let me tell you.
I can imagine.
Mhm. But I think, like, just generally, things like, okay, so I did Super Mario Brothers, the very first episode, and I needed to have, like, garbage and spaghetti and stuff dropped on my head, and, like, I spoke to somebody in a medicine cabinet, that was pretty strange request when I got there. Like, okay. I remember one time Conan O'Brien, that show called and asked me if I would do a rescue in, the Hudson. And I don't know why I find that so strange, but I'm like, I don't understand people that get in that water. Like, I'm kind of a snob like that. There's water I'm not getting in. And every time I'm in New York, every time I'm in the city and I see people jet skiing out there, I'm like, they have to be tourists. Like, who the hell is in
Who
that
would do
water? So bizarre. I had to decline that offer, but I thought that one left me baffled. It still baffles me. I'm like, why would they think I would jump in the Hudson? Like, and did they ever get anybody to do it? I don't know. That's weird.
What time of the year was it? Just curious when they asked you to do this.
I don't know. I don't even care. I don't care. I maybe if it was frozen, that might be better. No, I don't know what time of year it was. I honestly don't, but I just was like, no, sorry, pass.
All right, professionally, when was the most fun you had in your life?
I've said this before, and it's just because it's the truth. When I shot Clan of the Cave Bear in Canada for months and months and months and months, it was so fun. It was like we got there in the winter and we watched the snow melt, and then it was summer, and it was so outdoorsy, and we're taking helicopters to set, and there was just such a huge cast and crew. And, we are like river rafting and tubing and on our time off, and we stayed in a ski resort. And I saw the seasons change, and it was really a magical show to work on, a magical movie to work on. And we learned other language. There was like Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal languages and the wardrobe, and how people lived in caves. It was so educational, and so much going on that that was amazing time in my life.
Oh, that's great. All right.
Yeah.
If you could interview one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would have to say that it would have to be one of my parents, because
Really?
because you don't realize until they're gone, like, how many questions you have that are, meaningful in your life and in your family's life. And, like, when you're young and your parent goes, now being an adult, looking back, I'm like, I have so many other questions. I have so many things, and I'm such a different person than when I lost them, or when I lost my father, especially. And so much has happened. I mean, I've had a child, all of these things. So I just have such a different perspective on life. I would love to ask my dad a whole bunch of things.
Oh, wow. That's great.
That's because it would mean something, in my life and in my kid's life and stuff like that. So I would have to go with that.
Had an interesting thing last week in the last show that we did, the day we did the last show. So I spent the first part of the day with my childhood sports hero, who was Steve Garvey, former Dodger first baseman. And then I ran home, and then I did the show with you. And I didn't even think about it. But so the day ends, and then I get a phone call from my son late at night, and he goes, "Hey, I was just thinking, if you could have told your younger self that you're going to spend the day with Steve Garvey and Nicole Eggert in the same day, would you have believed it?" And I said, "You know what? That is crazy. No, I would never have believed it." And it was wild that, you were my teenage crush, and then Steve Garvey was my childhood hero. And in the same day, within hours, I got to spend the time with both of you. It was wild. Like, you never think stuff like that happens in life, but
Life is crazy.
It was crazy. I'm glad my son pointed it out to me because I completely missed it. That, you know what, if I could say to my, 16, 17-year-old self that you'd have a day like that, that was interesting. All right, last question. What is your number one turnoff?
Well, I'll go superficial here on this one. Bad grammar is like, I can't with you.
You know what? I've tried to. I know you aren't talking to me, by the way. If you aren't hurt my feelings, but I know I've was a lazy texter, and I would say I'm gonna try and fix this because I don't want people to go, this guy doesn't know how to speak. Look at his fucking text. And I was like, well, I don't speak the way I text. And then I said I'm gonna try and be proper, like almost like my fourth grade teachers watching what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm with you. When people can't speak, or you realize what the hell's going on, it makes you think not that they're dumb, but do I want to have an everyday relationship with this person? Right.
Right. And there's just certain things that it is kind of a level of intelligence, especially if you correct them and then they still do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, that. And then if we're talking about turn off, when like as far as like in a relationship, still bad grammar. But the way somebody runs, and I know this is really weird and this is so superficial, but because I could go on and on about what are turnoffs. I mean, an asshole's a turnoff. People who are selfish are a turnoff. All of these things, but that should be a given. But the quirky thing of Nicole, like if you run funny,
that is fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting question. Interesting thing you said here. So if a girl runs funny, it doesn't bother you. Kind of just laugh and go, that's the way she runs. But if it's a guy, okay, let's say it's the guy that you're interested in, and you're going, here's a guy, he has a great sense of humor, everything about him works out, and then all of a sudden he runs to go chase the frisbee, and you're like, holy shit, like it's a deal breaker, right?
It
has to be. I mean, I'm with you.
There is. I'm definitely having like, bad moments. Or if like they think they're a good dancer, or like they want to dance and they're just weird, like they have no rhythm. Body movements like that can really freak me out. really freak me out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's my biggest fear is I know I'm not a good dancer. Never claimed to be, but also I'm a tall guy. So I always felt like people are staring at me. So I'm going to a wedding in a few days, and I'm like, all right, the dancing thing is going to come out. And so, for example, this is why I always screw up in the weddings. The cha-cha slide's going to be played somewhere during that wedding. All right. So I try and hide in the back, and I'm in the back, everybody to the left, everyone to the right. And then next thing you know, I'm in the front because everyone turns around. I'm like, holy shit, I timed this wrong again. I'm in the front. Everyone's looking, and I'm bumping in shoulders into people. And so I made a comment about a week ago. I was talking about you, and we were talking about places you'd go when you were young. So Knott's Berry Farm, remember Cloud9?
Yes.
Okay.
So very much
I was always afraid to jump in and dance, and everyone seemed like they went. If you were an LA and Orange County person, you went to Knott's Berry Farm. And someone asked me, they go, what was your move? Like my dance move. I go, my move was against the wall with my arms crossed doing the head nod. I go, I had no move. I was afraid to get out there. 6'3". I felt like people staring at me. So I was so concerned. No, what's funny is I never saw you there either. But literally, I think I looked for you every time. I wonder if Nicole's here. Like, would she do something like this? And sure
totally
enough,
there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I blew it.
And I mean, I think females, they can dance. There's certain people who can dance wild. I think gays and women, they can go for it. And I'm not judgy about it, but you straight guys, just don't dance. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get up and dance at a wedding. My advice to you is if you have to get up and do that cha-cha slide or whatever it is, plant yourself right in the middle.
That's what I'm going to do. That's
You're
my
lost
aim.
in the sea of, then you won't feel so weird because people will only be able to see the top of your head. They won't be able to see anything else. But no, I'm not going to get up and dance anywhere. Never. Not anymore. Those days are way gone.
Do you remember in the movie Knocked Up with Seth Rogen, and he's throwing the dice, and his friend's like, I think he's throwing the dice too much. I mean, that's like he has one move and it's just throwing the dice, and that was it. You're right. That's unfortunately that I'm about right there. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Oh boy, I know. So I know you have a trip planned, but I just want to say safe travels, and And of course, I hope you have a great time. Hope you have an absolute
Yes.
great time.
We will. It's going to be freezing. I get to wear a jacket.
There you go.
I get to put a jacket on. Yeah.
Right,
I got to find them. I got to go digging in the closet and try to find some jacket. I haven't worn a jacket in LA in years.
No, why would you?
No. So, yeah. But I have them. Just find them now. Yeah. Well, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to us and give us a like if you like us, and leave a comment, and definitely keep those questions coming in, because they really make the show. And I'm glad you had that idea, Dave, because I really enjoy them. They really make me think outside of myself and my own crazy little head. So keep those coming, and everybody enjoy the rest of their week.
Perfect. Take care.
Bye.